JMS has dropped an update on the new Babylon 5 live action reboot. But is it as promising as it sounds? Welcome to Scitrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So you'll know a couple of months ago, and if you're a regular Sci-Trekker, you'll know I actually had a falling out with JMS, J. Michael Straczynski, the creator of Babylon 5, when I dropped a video saying that the most interested streaming services, which at the time were Netflix, Amazon and Apple, had expressed that they were no longer interested in the Babylon 5 series and they probably won't be going ahead with it. I, at the time, said, Babylon 5 is dead. Which was probably not 100% accurate, to be honest, but it's just very, very unlikely. The reason those streaming providers at the time gave was they were just not sure that even the Babylon 5 hardcore fans were going to accept a hard reboot, and that really made pushing forwards to the reboot very, very difficult. Now, JMS did drop an update on this a couple of days ago on his Twitter account. He basically said what I've been saying for a year, and he pointed out that, yes, this was originally going to the CW, but then they basically pulled out, and Warner Brothers were able to get the rights back. Basically, the CW had first dibs on Babylon 5 contractually. Once that was adequate, once it was very obvious that they weren't going to be triggering those rights, Warner Brothers took control. Actually, after The Road Home DVD came out and did very well, I hear the CW did sort of come back and go, maybe, and Warner Brothers went, no, you're all right. So Warner Brothers took back control. Now then, Warner Brothers, JMS says, were going through the whole Discovery merger thing, and that delayed things. I'll come back to that in a second. And then there were the strikes. Fair enough. But then there was the whole possibility of Warner Brothers merging with Paramount, and that put hold on things again. I am going to disagree with JMS here quite strongly in that these business decisions have not hampered other TV shows, so I'm not really clear why they would have hampered Babylon 5. Warner Brothers, over the last year or so, has changed direction slightly on a lot of their TV production. They are still making things for HBO and obviously still making movies and etc., etc. But they are trying to take advantage of the fact that they have one of the largest studios in Southern California. Massive ability to make television and movies and animated projects. And what they've been trying to do is get projects that they can make for other people because it minimizes their risks while maximizing their profits. What do I mean by that? You make a TV show for somebody else, they pay you for that TV show, and then you have no risk. If that TV show bombs, you still get paid. So that has been their business model. And now they've been doing this with Apple and Netflix for a while. They've been producing television shows and movies with other companies for a while. So that's not really a difference, but they've really stuck that into overdrive, and that's what they're trying to do a lot more in the next few years. And that's what they decided they were going to do with Babylon 5. Now, J. Michael Straczynski seems to think that there's been no conversations between studios until a few weeks ago when Warner Brothers finally sent out the script to streaming services looking for a partner. Now, I was able to tell you guys a year ago that the CW weren't going to be involved, and I was able to tell you that the Warner Brothers were planning to do this. They weren't going to do it for HBO. They were looking to do it with somebody else. And I was able to tell you that Netflix, Amazon, and Apple seem to be the most interested. I can tell you as well that if anybody honestly believes that the studios don't talk to each other about potential projects and didn't talk to each other about potential projects, particularly during the strikes when they had nothing else to do, then I'm sorry, you're just wrong. So, of course, these people who know each other do talk. Now, because of one of the sources I have, I've been able to find out a lot about those conversations. And this is why I was able to say that the main streaming providers are not interested in a Babylon 5 reboot for the reason I've given. Because reboots are not popular. And they feel that a reboot of Babylon 5 would fail. I tend to agree, if I'm 100% honest. I think it would be very, very difficult for this show to get past the first season. It would really take a streaming provider to be really committed to it for it to work. Because I actually think it would work if they got a second season and a third season. I think it would go on to be a great show. I just think that they would struggle to get that initial audience. I think the fans of Babylon 5 will give this a go. I think people that are just aware of the show probably won't. And I think there is a big chunk of YouTube, etc., which will just immediately go reboot, roll eyes, and really slag this project off before it ever gets started. So I think it'll really, really struggle to find its audience. But if it did, I think it would be great, potentially. So where are we at right now? Because JMS did say in his little announcement that at least one of the streaming providers that the script was sent out to had already said no. Now, I'm actually hearing a couple of streaming providers have already said no. It's a little bit confusing, but it seems Disney and it wasn't Disney, but it was sent to a part of Disney, said no immediately, and so did Paramount. So that would have been Paramount Plus. I also hear this won't be going to Peacock. So I hear those companies said no almost immediately. Now, Netflix apparently hasn't said no immediately, but they're going to. Or very, very unlikely that they'll be moving ahead. That's mainly because they just don't see how it would quite fit. Now, I disagree with them, and I actually think Netflix are missing a trick here because they are sort of lacking a sci-fi space-based show at the moment. They've spent a lot of money on things like the Three-Body Problem and other things, but they don't have like a Star Trek or they don't have anything like that. This is the main reason why Disney, I think, was never going to go for this, because it wouldn't fit on Disney Plus. They've got other space-based projects that are similar, and they wouldn't want it. Paramount Plus have got Star Trek, similar thing. But Netflix is lacking. The fact that they didn't say no immediately, I think, opens up a possibility. Because as I said, previously, they were saying no basically on the principle of it. They were sort of saying, just on the idea of the project before reading the script. Who knows? Maybe now they've read the script, they've changed their minds. But the fact they haven't said no immediately is interesting. I'm hearing Amazon were very interested in a potential to put this on Freevee. But I'm hearing that they would prefer to focus on other projects at the moment. They're struggling a little bit with studio space. They've got a lot on at the moment. Even though, obviously, Warner Brothers will be producing this. I think the Freevee thing was a good idea, but I'm not sure it's going to be moving forwards. I think they'd rather focus on really taking advantage of the MGM property that they spent over £8.5 billion on and have done nothing with yet, than maybe spending more money on a project that is coming from Warner Brothers. So we'll see. Apple, you never know. They're a wild card. They can say no, and then make it. So they're a wild card. Who knows? I'm wondering if maybe something like one of the smaller streaming providers, maybe like Roku, could surprise us here and do something we're not expecting. That would be interesting. But again, it would completely fit and it would be a big deal for them. It would get a lot of attention, which obviously would be really, really good for them. But would anybody watch it? I don't know. But they could probably afford it. I think Roku have got like 700 million subscribers or something worldwide. So they're doing okay. And they have started to try to do original content. That's sort of where Apple were about 3 or 4 years ago. They just want that one big hit. So maybe it would fit with them. This really is moving on from my original story, because I've just said before, we had companies that had already expressed an interest and then were saying they weren't. It looks like those companies are still saying no. But Warner Brothers are not giving up. They're putting a business model together. They're trying to say, look, we can do this relatively cheaply. This could be a blah, 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 So they ain't giving up. They are really pushing for it. It is something they'd love to have a go at. Let's see what happens in the next few months. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/Scitrek, where most of our new videos do premiere first, and you get to see them without the adverts. Go check it out. As always, please stay safe, and I'll see you next time.